everybody, it's Sam here. Thank you for watching. So today I'm going to show you 6 fun techniques using your embossing folders. I've already done one using 6x6 size embossing folders, but these are new 5x7 ones by Creative Craft Products. So you've got the poinsettia, you've got Christmas sentiment, winter border, Christmas greetings, snowfall, and the Christmas tree. So some of these techniques you may have already seen me do before, but I've changed them up slightly. And hopefully for some of you, they're going to be brand new and you're going to get lots of inspiration. So let's get started. So for the first technique, I'm going to use the poinsettia design here. So I've just cut myself a piece of 5x7 card. Got this gorgeous red. Just going to line that up with the embossing folder and run that one through. So you can see that gorgeous detail now. And then I'm going to use this gold gilding wax. I'm just going to add a little onto my finger there. You might want to grab, I'm just going to get some paper towel. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that off, and then I'm just going to very lightly rub it, starting with the centres and just kind of working my way out on each of those flowers. Again, just taking a little bit off, starting in the centre so I get that real thick wax, and then just kind of blending that out a little bit. Just repeat that over all of the areas that you want to cover. So you would have seen I went back over a few of them, so you can keep applying it if you want a deeper look. But I think it's beautiful. I love the way it catches the light. I think it looks so festive. So I'm going to be decorating them with like the sentiments and adding them to the card blanks at the very end. So next I'm going to use the Christmas tree embossing folder, and for this one I want to use my inks, and we're going to focus on the emboss, the raised design here. So I'm actually going to use the embossing folder this way. Now I've got some rustic wilderness green oxide ink there, but what I want to do first of all is just clean your embossing folder, because you'll be surprised, you know, these are made in the factory, so there may be like a residue and things like that. So give them a clean first before you start adding your inks, and that will just ensure that they're going to obviously grab. So I'm just going to load up my brayer. It is a bit squeaky, so I will speed up this stage so you don't have to listen to the annoying sound. You just want to roll this over all of that raised design. If any ink goes off into these spaces, you just want to wipe that away. If you hold it up to the light, you can usually see if any ink's gone off into the spaces you don't want, but I'm happy with that. So then I'm going to take my piece of card and just lay that down, and then just double check again. I can see it doesn't look like there's any green anywhere else apart from on the tree. And the good thing about this technique is once we pass it through, if you want it to be a bit deeper, you can just go over it again. So I'm just going to carefully place that down, run that through my machine. Okay, so now when we reveal, the pressure from the machine has transferred the colour into that design. So on the back, you've got the original embossed look. So that's what it will create in the white, which looks beautiful. But I thought it'd be really nice to show you other ways to use it on the opposite side of the embossing folder. Now you can see here it's a little bit lighter. I kind of like it a bit darker in places. So what you'll be able to do is this design here, you'll be able to lock it back into place. Be careful, the ink may still be wet, but if you flip it over, you can see exactly where that needs to sit. And you'll feel it as well, lock into place. And now I'm going to load up the brayer again, run it over here, clean up any excess green that may go in like these other areas, and then pass that through again. Okay, so you can see now with that second pass, I've got a much deeper colour. So I'm just going to give that a minute now to dry. So for this one, I'm going to use the snowfall, and I'm just going to use holographic cardstock. I just think the snowflakes are going to look really, really nice with this cardstock. And then what I might do is maybe add some little gems onto it, because that'll look nice. Or maybe, but I'm thinking I'm going to do that on another one, is embossing powder. So again, just cut myself a piece of 5x7. So this is how you'll, most traditionally use your embossing folders. I think embossing folders and mirrored card always look fab. So I'm just going to pass that one through. Okay, so now Now look at that. It's gorgeous. That looks so, so nice. So I think with some small little embellishments in the centres there, that will look beautiful. So I'm actually going to trim this one down first, because once I add the embellishments, it's going to be a bit harder to cut. So you'll see the line that you can follow. I like to cut it right up to the edge of the design. And I think I'm going to use these ones here because I've got a mix of sizes. Use the largest in the centres of the big snowflakes there. And then just the next size down on those medium snowflakes. And then on the tiny ones, I've got these very small little embellishments. I think they're going to look nice as well. Okay, so you would have just seen me add those little rhinestones into the centres of all the snowflakes. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Really like it. I think it's transformed it completely. So yeah, look at the folders that you might have, and if there's any kind of flowers and things like that, think about adding little embellishments into the centres. I think it looks wonderful. So next I'm going to use the Christmas Greetings embossing folder, and I'm going to use this one with my embossing powder. Now, depending on what side of the folder you use will give you a different look. So if you add your Versamark, your watermark stamp, onto the smooth side, so the deboss, whatever embossing powder you have will cover all of this blank space. Whereas if you add the Versamark or whatever watermark ink you have to the emboss, so the raised side, it will emboss all of the sentiments. So if you want your background to have the embossing powder, then you want to work on the deboss side. If you want the actual design to be embossed, then you'd work on the raised emboss side. So I'm going to take this one here and I'm just going to drag it all over this side of the folder. I'm not worried about it covering all of it, because that kind of brushed look actually looks nice as well. So don't worry if you, once you do it, it's not covered everywhere. It should just still give you a nice effect. Now with this piece, you still want to prep it just like you would any other cardstock when you go to emboss it. So I've got my anti-static buddy here. So this has just got powder in it. You can use cornstarch, anything that's going to take away the stickiness and static that might be on the card. I always add it onto my fingertips as well, especially, you know, any hand creams or natural oils in our skin, that will also transfer. Okay, then I'm going to lay this down in this side here and then close the folder. Now I'm going to pass that one through. So now you can see that lovely design that we've got. Next I'm going to take my gold embossing powder here and just dump this all over. I'm at the end of this pot now, so I'm just going to tap that all down that end and then all down this end. You can see it's sticking to the background. Now where it's not quite sticking is probably I didn't maybe get the embossing powder exactly where I wanted it, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to give you a really nice effect. And once I go over it again, it's actually taken in more areas there. So I'm just going to go over that a few times. Make sure your heat tool's nice and hot first. I always like to let mine run for about 30 seconds before I apply it to the cardstock. So that's all of the powder heat set, and it's given me, it reminds me of like rusty metal. I think it's a wonderful effect. I actually think I need to re-ink my pad. I think it was probably a little bit dry. So if you've got a nice juicy new pad or you've just recently re-inked it, you'll probably get a lot more coverage. But there's something about having it like blotchy that I think gives it a really fun effect. And I think it's going to be great for, yeah, that kind of grungy faux metal look. I think that looks really, really good. And I love how all of the sentiments haven't taken and they pop through the gold there. Okay, next I'm using the winter border, and for this one I want to create a distress look. So I've got a piece of white core cardstock here. So for anybody that doesn't know, all that means is the base here is white, or on one side it's white and on the other side it's colour. This is a coated white core, so you'll see it's got a shine to it. You can also just get a normal cardstock white core. Basically it just means they've only coloured one side of it. This here, you'll see as an example, is red all the way through, so this is a colour core. So if you were to score this and you maybe got some cracking, all you would see is the same red colour. Whereas with something like this, you've got that white coming through, and it can create some really lovely effects, especially with embossing folders. So I've cut this to 5x7, thought we'd go for the shocking pinks. I think that again looks really nice at Christmas time. Now, if you had a 3D embossing folder, it would stretch the paper even more, and it would force the pink, in my case, to crack even more. This isn't a 3D embossing folder, but if you want there to be a bit more pressure, just add a shim on top. So I've just got a piece of white card there, and I'm going to pass that all through together. Okay, so now you should start to see some cracking coming through here, and I can see that white, but I want that to be even more visible. So I've got here just a fine grit sandpaper, or you can use a nail file, that will work as well. And I'm just going to lightly rub this all over that raised design. Don't worry if it does scratch through to some of the bottom. You're not looking for perfect with this. It's meant to give you that distressed kind of look. And it's up to you how much you do. And I just want to get into some of those smaller areas. So I'm just going to use the side there of my, these are just little stamping blocks that I'm using, but it just means I can get in to more of those smaller areas. Okay, so now you can see the effect it gives with the white coming through. It's a great technique, and again it will work with most embossing folder designs. It's a really interesting finish that it gives the cards. So for the last one, I'm using the Christmas sentiments folder here, and I'm going to do the reverse of this green one, and then I'm going to emboss it again, and I'm going to cut this frame out and lift it up. So hopefully that'll give us an interesting look. So I've cut this again to 5x7. So again, just as you would with any embossing, just prepare your cardstock. So I'm just covering that with the powder, and again on my fingers there. Again, remember, you're not looking for perfect with these. And then I've got my Versamark here. So this time we're working on the raised side. So with this one, we worked on the deboss. This time we're working on the emboss side. So you just want to very lightly, this is a very, very thin design, so it might not be the best one to show this technique on, but you'll get the idea. Apologies if you can hear a light snoring in the background. Monty is asleep. So I'm just going to just pass that over. I'm not worried about the sentiment so much because I'm going to be doing that again. So now I'm going to pop my paper down. I always like to add it to the opposite side, get it in place, and then bring the folder down. And now I'm going to run that through my machine. Okay, and then just carefully take that off. So now I'm going to cover this with my powder, and it should fall into all of the gaps. So just tapping that all off, and you can see it's sat all in. Now I've got something going on here, so I need to, looks like a hair or something. Let's just brush that off and just re-apply that there. I may well have had something in my embossing folder. Yes, it looks like I have. So what I'm going to do is, if you get just a smaller brush, like I said, I'm not looking for perfect with this or with any of these kind of techniques. I'm just going to, this will all be trimmed down anyway, so I'm not too worried about all of that. But you can, with a brush, just take off if there's any areas where it's maybe a bit heavy, then you can just remove that, because all I want is the powder to really be in all of these little grooves. Like I said, I'm not worried about any of the sentiment area there because that's all going to get covered. I think that's pretty good. So let's just pop all this away. And again, I'm going to get that heat set. So now hopefully you can see all that shine picking up. So I'm not, like I said, not worried about the middle there. What I'm now going to do, so I've had another idea, is I'm going to now focus on the center. And again, I'm going to use the blue card here. And this time I'm going to do the same as what we did for that green one. So I'm going to take my watermark ink here and just cover. I'm just brushing it over. I'm not pushing it down. I'm literally just brushing it over. And then now it's the right way up. Again, just give that a quick wipe. And now I want to sit this over that center design and run that through my machine. Okay, carefully take that away, and now hopefully I'm just going to use that same powder here. This will cover all of the background but leave the sentiment, which it has perfectly. I couldn't have asked for that to turn out any better. Wow, right, I'm not even going to faff about anymore. I'm going to leave that, and now I'm going to heat set all of this. Okay, so now we've got that wonderful topper, and I'm now going to cut this out. So I'm going to stick with the outside, so that blue frame, and just follow the design all the way around. Okay, look how lovely that looks. Really nice little topper. I'm just going to add some foam. And now I'm going to line this back up with the design underneath, and you have that really cool effect. So I'm going to get these all cut down now. I'm going to get them all added onto my card blanks, and I'm going to get sentiments added to this one, and these two, and I'll show you them all at the end. So I finished all the cards, and the sentiments I've used are these new Creative Craft Products Christmas sentiments. They work perfectly with embossing folders, but I don't know if these are going to be available on the website just yet, so you're getting a bit of a sneak peek here, or they may well be on the website. So check the links. I'll link it all below the video if they are available. If not, they will be coming soon. But there's tons here. I think there's 10 in total. Which you got Merry Christmas, Season's Greetings, Winter Wishes, Sparkle and Shine, Snowflake Kisses, 'Tis the Season, Peace on Earth, Eat, Drink and Be Merry, Joy to the World, and Love, Peace and Joy. So there's pretty much every festive sentiment you would think of there. So I've added one of each onto the finished cards here. So this is the poinsettias. I've added a little bit of sparkle onto the little dots there using my sparkle pen, and then the sentiments Sparkle and Shine. I thought that worked really well with that design. I've popped that onto a 5x7 top fold card in the same red. For the Christmas tree one, I've used the Merry Christmas sentiment there. I cut a star from one of my nested sets and just covered the top there. And then I've wrapped some vellum around so that the sentiment popped, and because it looked a bit lost, just stuck directly onto the Christmas tree. And I've popped that onto a gold matte layer and then onto a green 5x7 side fold card. The gorgeous snowflake one here. So I've used the sentiment Snowflake Kisses, and again I've wrapped the vellum around so that you could see the sentiment better. And then these are the embellishments that were underneath, so I've just used those on the front there, and I thought that set that off really nicely. Then that grungy effect, I've used this Season's Greeting sentiment, and I've actually used the outline of the sentiment and die cut it into this strip, and then I've just paper pieced the insides of the letters there. I thought it worked really nice as a vertical sentiment because this embossing folder has the sentiments in all different orientations, so I thought that worked quite well together. Then I've gone a little bit cutesy because when I stuck this onto the card blank, I just thought it framed a cute little image. So I've used these little rabbits, which were from my festive magazine last year, and then I used the sentiment Winter Wishes, which I've die cut a few times and stuck it on top of each other so it's nice and dimensional. But I just thought, I don't know, there was something about that framed design that just needed a cute little character in the middle, so that's what I did for that one. And then the last one there, which you pretty much saw finished, I've just now added it onto a 5x7 top fold card there. I think that's great. Really good way to really stretch the embossing folder, and a great way to make some really nice toppers as well, because they would look nice on gift boxes and bags. So I hope you've enjoyed these 6 embossing folder techniques that I've shared with you today. Like I said at the beginning, check out the 6x6 embossing folders. There's lots of techniques in that one there, and I'll have those videos coming up now as well. You might want to go and watch those next. As always, all of the product that I've used here will be linked in the description box below. Just look out for the sentiment ones. They may not be available just yet. And I'll also have linked the Facebook Live launch that I do with these as well, so you can see another demo that I'll be doing there. As always, thank you for watching today. If you've enjoyed today, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell, and that way you won't miss out on any future videos. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.